upon only one breadwinner, so I wanted to work to bring home some extra money. And I also had my own child in 2003. Today, that Mary Jobaida you see didn't appear out of nowhere.
As I have seen from my research, she has worked across public health, education, and also been involved in local politics.
But when I went there to look for a job, and then the manager looked at me and said, like, you came here for a job for yourself? I said, yes. Like, quote unquote, get out from here. It's not for you. Like, who love village beauty,
Right.
wild nature. In the meantime, our wild spirit. My coming here also coincided with the rezoning era. She looked at my paper and she said, like, who told you we didn't accept it? This is exactly, it's all right. And I'm grateful for being a little part of that progress.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the First Gen Show. Today, I'm joined by Mary Jobaida Appa, born and raised in Bangladesh. She moved to New York back in 2001. That's
Yes.
right. And then ever since then, she has worn many hats. As I have seen from my research, she has worked across public health, education, and also been involved in local politics. And all this while being a mother of three,
Yeah.
which is incredible. We'll learn a lot about her in this episode, and I'm honored that she took some time from her very busy schedule to speak with me and be a part of the little thing that I'm trying to create. And from my research, I've known that she has been a lifelong activist herself, who has always um, fought for social, racial, and political justice in the
Economic
US
justice.
and economic justice. And now she's running for New York State Assembly in District 36, right?
Yep, here, right here.
Exactly. Uh, for people who don't know, this means that she is after the seat that has been gracefully left open by Zohran Mamdani. Whether you're in Dhaka or anywhere else in the world, you all have been following the mayoral election here in New York City. And you know, Zohran Mamdani got elected as the mayor, and now she is fighting to represent her community. And we'll learn a lot more about this today. But I just wanted to speak with her to learn about her lived experience and how that has shaped her involvement with the community and how she shows up for the community, which is very inspiring to me for someone who has been interested in policy and politics. It is my honor to know firsthand about her story, and আমরা অনেক কিছু নিয়ে কথা বলবো. So stay tuned. And before we jump into more deeper questions, I would like to start with a little bit about your story from your mouth, which is, can you tell us a little more about your childhood in Barishal and how was that?
First, I want to say honor is mine. If I need to fight with you, I'm going to do that. Because this is a great honor and privilege to sit here to represent the first generation American. It doesn't happen often. We hear the stories of children and grandchildren of Americans, immigrants,
Right.
but we hardly hear the stories directly from the first generation immigrants. Many of you probably came here as an adult, just like I do. So, first generation American came to this country as an adult. Of course, I do have a beautiful past and childhood in Bangladesh. And in my case, it's a rural Bangladesh, one of the most rural village in, you said Barishal. I'm going to take it more, zoom in more. It's not necessarily Barishal, the town.
Right.
It has Potuakhali, Kolapara, and all the way to a small village named Baliatuli. So I was born and raised there till 10th grade, and had an amazingly vivid and beautiful and romantic childhood, the way the villagers do have. It's like green space and miles of green landscape, paddy fields, wild animals, and domestic cuddles, fishing in the pond, swimming,
Yeah.
boating in lakes, riding bicycles, through the narrow paddy fields. And my childhood was actually very wild. And we had I had an egalitarian and very freedom in my childhood. Like it was filled with like kind of like a lot of opposites, like juxtapositions, because it was village. People think
Right.
like, okay, village is like village, you know.
Right. Like we have a certain kind of picture in our
Right, right.
mind when we hear the word village.
Right, and in my case, village is full of freedom. It's like growing up in the village. It's a Bengali Muslim girl, but I had the freedom to wear anything I wanted. Especially loved men's shirts, loved biking with because I was immediately the younger sibling of a brother, and we both were the great duo. We would be fishing together, mischief makers. Fish together, bike together, and play marble together.
Right.
Marbles were hated in the village, and especially for it was a boys' game.
Right.
But my brother and I were always playing. My home that I grew up in, it was a heaven, a safe haven for children. I am the ninth born in a family of 11 children. Both of my parents, it's like from the same parents, 11 children, and ninth born, one of the youngest one. But in our household, it's not only we siblings grew up together. We had our cousins, their cousins.
Right.
So it is such a great heaven that anyone would come to visit us, wouldn't leave anymore. They would be staying with us for months, for years.
Right.
Like our mama to bhai, their cousins, all would end up in that house.
Right.
My parents, my mom was a middle school dropout. My dad was non-traditional, completed American Standard High School. But they had a vision for education. So they would always put on condition. If you want to stay with us, you have to go to school. They would give them the proper like educational material. So they would buy books and uniforms. There were times that our schools were uniformed school, and sometimes it wasn't. So when it was a uniformed school, they would give everyone equally uniform, including ourselves, and then the relatives who would stay with us. So every expenses they would carry with one condition: you have to go to school and you have to learn. Even their parents would love it. Like if the children would come to us and they wouldn't leave, they would find like, okay, they are in good place. So we had definitely a team of people we grew up with who'd play badmintons and then row boats together. Would go early in the morning, especially in the winter. There would be things like we would call in the seasonal parts that
Right.
like in this country we have Canada geese that would come here, but in Bangladesh some kind of duck we would call balihash in the village, especially in Barishal area where we are close to the Bay of Bengal in those islands. So we would have those birds. So early morning before the sunrise, even before that, we would wake up and as a team we would go. It was so foggy we wouldn't see even like few feet.
Right.
Visibility would be only limited in few feet. We would hear the birds would be flapping their wings right up on our heads, but we wouldn't see them. But that moment of excitement, the moment of excitement, we'd go there to feel that moment.
Right.
I would love storms in the childhood. Like we would be praying for number 10 storm, and thank God, children's prayer never worked. We are so wild that we are like the little ones together. We'd secretly pray that this time we need to see that number 10 storm. Like any time, the cyclone has like numbering, like number 4, number 5, and 10 was the highest. So we'd look for the highest one. It never happened in our lifetime, but our parents lived with a really memory of 1970s great flood. And they would talk about it. They would be scared. They would pray the opposite way. And we would secretly pray like, no, we want to see that.
But thankfully, your prayers were not
Parents
answered.
were not the children. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh God, you saved millions of people.
Right.
And I'm thankful. So that was our childhood. It's like full of village beauty, the wild nature. In the meantime, our wild spirit, the wildest childhood I had. And I'm grateful for that.
And that sounds wonderful and so beautifully explained. I think from that, when you and your family decided to move to the United States, that too in 2001, which I think was a very difficult time for immigrants, especially Muslims in the US. So how was that transition from living a heavenly life
In a village.
in rural Barishal, and then from there moving to United States, and that too, I believe the first city you moved into was New York City, right?
Yeah, here, right in Long Island City,
Right in Long Island
till
City.
still now, like in
Where we
2000.
are today, right?
Yeah, this is a part of Long Island City, but old Astoria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that transition? Um, can you tell us a little bit about how that time was for you?
2001 is much different than you see now.
Right,
Like even Long Island City, Astoria didn't look like that.
Mm-hmm.
So before moving to New York, I lived in Dhaka. After my 10th grade, I went to study in Dhaka in Lal Matia Mohila College. I lived in Mohammadpur area, Kaji Nazrul Islam Road.
Okay.
And after that, I got admitted into Dhaka City College. And during that time, I got married. I got married to a man who lived in New York.
Okay.
So it was because of the marriage that I wanted to come here. In the first time married, and I'm like crazy for the husband and couldn't live with a, like, oh my God, I don't want to even remember those funny days. Like entire world circled around one human. So I desperately wanted to come. First, I came here with visit visa,
Okay.
visitor's visa. I came here in this month, and today
Okay.
is 18th. 18th, right?
Yes, it is 18th
On
today.
16th, I came here. It's like
Oh.
exactly 24 years, 2 days.
Oh my God.
So it was a first Ramadan, Friday, rainy day, and November 16th, still didn't forget, as you can see. I came here to a different Long Island city that had broken streets and very old, shuttered, first story structures all over. As a little bit closer to a ghost place.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
It
wow.
wasn't, we didn't have high-rise building. The only high-rise we had was the building we called Citibank building. That was later Altis and now it's Optimum. It's in Court Square on. So in those days, it was more broken streets, all shuttered, one story, abandoned factories. It looked like that. So I came to New York City from Dhaka that had at least mid-structured buildings and not as old as Long Island City. So I thought and it was raining. So it was like, is this what America is? Like after the airport and I entered, especially in Long Island City, the moment we entered Long Island City, it looked like, what is this? Is this Long Island? Is this America?
Oh, wow.
So I went to my apartment where we live. Still now we live in the same apartment. And thankfully we had great neighbors here. So it's so good. I came here in black burqa, only not in this kind of thing, in hijab and black burqa hijab, black headscarf, black burqa, like only hand and ankles all the way covered and except the face. The people received me with a lot of care in Long Island City. Unlike many, I'm not gonna undermine a lot of people's experience with hate and things. Of course, that exist. One exceptional case should not be
Right.
examples.
Right.
But in my case, I'm so thankful and so blessed that I was only received with a lot of love, care, and inclusion. So the neighborhood had a lot of, in those days, a lot of black, Hispanic, and a few Bengali people living there. Not as many white or as many East Asian people that we see now. And those people are very welcoming, and some Greeks. So there, the struggle I had, the question was like, what kind of a struggle was my language barriers. But there is always universal language, a smile, and the body language, gestures,
Right.
and those worked for me. Because I was a person with hearing disability that I did not know in those days. I revealed it in 2021 only. So I lived with those things. And naturally, I developed that lip reading and body language reading. So this is how my communication was naturally adapted
Oh,
for
wow.
my survival. And that worked perfectly in this new environment because I didn't speak enough English, and they definitely didn't know Bangla. So we had some kind of universal bonding.
Right.
We developed, and they were very helpful. My English language, like to speak a little better English than like the limited, in Bangladesh, even though people complete their high school, graduation, college, even though English is part of the curriculum, still we don't learn spoken English enough.
right.
Like we cannot communicate enough. So when I came to this country, news and everything sounded like bloodlines in my ear. I couldn't discern the words separately. I couldn't separate the words. So all I had is like a blood picture, like that kind of sound, noise in another word. It took a long time to develop that understanding or meaning of the language that I had. So these neighbors would speak with me little at the time. They would teach me how to speak the right pronunciation. For example, I would call cement. So there would be like pavement, I would call cement, and there's like not cement, like little by little, as
Right.
little. Yeah, they were so kind, and I had opportunities to work with coworkers and people who were so compassionate. They would even teach me how to use the public toilet,
Right.
as simple as that.
Right.
Like and as deeply. It sounds weird, right?
No, it doesn't.
But imagine like a sister or someone your family member how you care.
Yeah.
Like they were worried like how I'm going to be using public toilet, especially in events when they set up mobile toilet and bathroom. They would not let me go right away. They would make sure that the toilet was ready, and then they would teach me how to use it. I'm not going to tell it in the camera now. It's a very weird way, but the safest way, so that we do not contract the toilet that is used by so many people, touched by so many. So they would teach me that little things like that. So today, that Mary Jobaida you see didn't appear out of nowhere. It happened because people made me feel seen, heard, and included. They taught me little by little how to adapt to this country, how to understand the language, how to communicate, and how to feel confident
Right.
to come to that point that I am able to try to represent this community that made me this Mary Jobaida out of that one that came in 2021.
That's beautiful. I think two things that has really like struck out to me from your story is that number one, I did not know that during that time Long Island City or Astoria was not as developed as
No.
Dhaka was. So low-key feeling good about Dhaka, but also now I can really understand where this desire of you to represent the community really comes from. I think it's more than 2 decades of feeling belonged into this community, being welcomed, right? Being supported from day one, I think.
Yes,
is,
I'm only one here.
Right.
One out of my 12 siblings.
Yeah.
I said 12 because from my parents, so we have 11, and my mom is no more, so my dad has another son. So out of the 12, I'm the only one in this country. But these people accepted me, embraced me like their another sibling arrived here.
Right.
And every support needed is given here. Instead of like excluding me, you'll be shocked to know that my husband had 7 days a week work. So he would tell me, like, go explore the city on your own. The first one coming with like adults, and especially with village experience, little experience with Dhaka city. And then in those days, we didn't have the Google map.
Right.
We did not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you came here with you.
2021.
So you probably did not see that map that we had.
No, I didn't.
It was a folded, printed map. If you open it, and it becomes this
Right.
square piece. And you also have a specific way to fold it and make it this little. So only map we had, not the Google map, that printed hard copy, that would open it and to become the entire New York City map, and that we would locate like where we are and which way to go. So those were our navigators.
Right.
But still with those things, I would often get lost. Anytime I would go to Manhattan, France, Brooklyn. But the beautiful thing is, like, people somehow would understand I was lost. They would grab my hand just like that. And it's like, oh, you're probably lost. Do you know where to go? Where's the subway station? And with my limited English and I'm like the way I talk, they would understand, and we would too. You know, when there's like a strong communication and connections,
Right.
language probably a trivial part of that communication. So they would take me to the subway station, and we also didn't have those no omni, no tapping, no even sliding metro card. We had tokens.
Oh, okay.
We had to buy tokens with money, and then there was slots. Then
Okay.
we would drop the token in the slot, and then translate would open. It was like that. So they would often buy those tokens with their own money. They would open it, take me to the train station, put me on the train, like, baby, go home.
Oh,
that
wow.
would take that would be the train that would come to 23rd Eli. Now we call it Code Square. In those days we would call 23rd Eli the station. So that is my experience with New York City.
Right.
Like a lot of love, a lot of care. But I thought New Yorkers were like that, and definitely they are like that. But in the meantime, now that after living here for more than 2 decades, I can see where those care came from. Because it was post 9/11.
Right.
It was right after those that incident happened, and people are worried about my safety. That
Right.
young women in black burqa walking on the street might have faced hate. You know? But in my case, I only met with love and compassion.
But that tells you a lot about the city and the people, because when I moved in 2021, and I was briefly in New York with a few relatives before I went to grad school, and everyone would, like, quote unquote, tell me how rude New Yorkers are. But my experience was completely different. Wherever, because although we had Google Maps, navigating the subway was still very difficult, and there would be people coming up to us to help us out, me and my wife, and wherever we would go, people were very kind.
Yeah.
So I think there is a notion, or I haven't faced it yet. Again, I won't be speaking for everyone, but I think in general, my experience has also been very welcoming and nice. And
New Yorkers are busy. No
yeah,
doubt.
they're busy. Yeah.
They're busy because the living expense is too high. We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Like that pushes them with no
Right.
room for extra time to spend on friendships, communication, bonding. But in those days, living expense wasn't too high. We still had time to give our children. We still would go to the park with our children instead of hiring babysitters, and make the most out of our time,
Right.
just to earn the rent and support our families. But we were able to support families with the limited income we had in the past.
Right.
So, and that gave us that human side, like we were able to communicate with each other, and still had neighbors and neighborly time.
That is so true. I think since you mentioned the affordability crisis here in New York City is real.
Yes.
Just to give you an example, like when we got the opportunity to move from Chicago to New York, we ideally wanted to settle in New York City. However, when we considered our finances, it was not making sense for us, which is why my wife and I decided to settle down in North Bergen, New Jersey, close to Manhattan. But so this affordability crisis is really personal to me, and which is why people who are fighting to make this city affordable are someone I look up to, are people I want to support, and I want more and more people to support, because we have seen what has happened during the mayoral election, even at more local levels. If people, representatives who deeply care about affordability and are willing to work for the issues that drive affordability, we will all be in a better place.
Affordable housing crisis.
Right.
Like we probably don't have that much crisis about housing, although we talk about
Right.
housing crisis, but definitely deeply affordable housing crisis.
100%.
You can compare the housing, for example, like in 2001, the 2-bedroom apartment you could have rented in Long Island City for less than $1,000, like maybe as low as $700, $800. But now it's $5,000 to $8,000.
Exactly.
So imagine, it's not that long time ago. It's like two decades, and see the changes.
Yeah.
2 decades, people probably have extra few children, but that doesn't improve that the drastic income increase.
Yeah.
It doesn't qualify them.
Mm-hmm.
But then they face this new reality
Right.
in their own neighborhoods. Everything price goes up.
Yes.
Everything is skyrocketing. And then that pushes like a lot of people from Long Island City, Astoria, this 36th Avenue, and then Broadway from 30th Avenue. That was Bengali hub.
So
And
that pushed people away from this
though
neighborhood?
thousands of people were priced out from this neighborhood,
Oh, wow.
and they were displaced. Many of them, like thousands of them, moved to Buffalo, Pennsylvania, Michigan,
Okay.
and still now a lot of them are worried because they are waiting. There's no place to go. In the
Right.
meantime, they're already told to leave their apartments, and they didn't get their lease extended. So
Right.
imagine like the moment that we are facing, and I have been seeing those things going on
Right.
since 2001, the year that rezoning began. My coming here also coincided with the rezoning era. That the same year, first rezoning happened in Long Island City, and it kept on going, and we are facing more and more hardships.
Right. Let's go back a little bit. So from moving to a different country, to a new country, to eventually stepping up into activism, I would be interested to know what really got you interested in politics here in the US. Like, what was the starting point? Like,
We all are in politics in this way or that way because politics shapes our living whether we want it or hate it. So everyone by default. When I came to this country, I told you, like, fortunately, I did not face hate crime, but our communities did. So even though I was not an quote unquote immigrant or documented immigrant, I was a visitor, but still I would show up for any hate crime I heard. I would go and I would stand up with, to show my solidarity. Like I would go to Browns, Jamaica, Ozone Park, anywhere I had. I grew up in the village, I told you, right? In a carefree environment, too wild,
yeah.
and also fear-free.
Mm-hmm.
So that soul helped me
Right.
always to stand up on the front line without fear.
Okay.
That soul I carried in Dhaka city, and I brought it in New York City with me. And then that was inspired also, like more inspired by my neighborhood people who showed me that Mary Jobaida is perfect the way you were. The way you were, whatever language you speak, whatever you look, wherever you were, you are just perfect the way you were. And I was accepted the way I was. That empowered me with my confidence level. So anytime I would hear about the hate crime happen, I would be probably one of those first people, like first responders, to go there and stand there with solidarity and holding the ground. Like, okay, immigrants should not be targeted. For few people doing something, these immigrants or these people are not responsible for somebody else's actions. And instead, like if people attack them, they are also doing the similar things to to the neighbors that they don't deserve to be facing. So I was very strongly standing up for those things. So this is how I also got to know a lot of New York City politicians and then community members who would also show their solidarity. And I think the real, and another time that the series of like starting almost like my beginning of my non-stop political involvement or protest was in 2007.
7? Okay.
That's the beginning. And I was already part of organizing though. Even in Astoria, I was part of Astoria Youth Girls and Astoria Women, and that we'd organize immigrant women, and then became Astoria Youth Girls president for 2 years and mentors. In 2007, the change happened was like,
Yeah, what was special about 2007?
yeah, 2007.
Yeah.
2006, there was election in Gaza in Palestine,
Oh, okay.
because Israel wasn't accepting negotiation with with Fatah or Gaza because they were segregated. So there was like sort of like the common thing was like, okay, come together. You are divided. Who is part? I'm going to negotiate. Come together. So they had election. I believe it was in January 25, 2006. Yeah. And then, interestingly, Hamas won that election. And Fatah right away declared that they did not cooperate. So there was a rivalry going on, and very bitter rivalry. 2007, Hamas overpowered, like expelled the entire Fatah movement, and they accepted power on their own. That thing made Fatah, like PLO, sort of like, create more barriers and more problems with Hamas that time. And Israel joined them. Israel blockades from the sea, air, and land. All three were blockades upon Gaza, making humanitarian crisis on the ground. And it was like so severe at some point, like we all were out on the street demanding. At that time, I wasn't citizen in this country. But we all would, like daily basis, would go to Manhattan to protest in front of Israeli consulate and demanding US to mediate to stop this blockade because there was humanitarian crisis. In the meantime, Egypt also put the Rafah crossing, closed the Rafah crossing. So humanitarian aid were not able to pass into Gaza. So it is such a severe situation in the way we see it now. So that was the year, like I was like, what is going on? How can it be possible? We heard about things when we were growing up on news, and now we can see in our time, witnessing like, oh my God, this is then practical. This is not myth. This is happening. So that made us go to the daily basis protesting. Same year, I was also for the first time got accepted to go to college. So the first thing was I wanted to work because I belonged to a working class family and only one person, my husband, he was the breadwinner. My sister-in-law just lost her husband and with 4 children, our friend. We all lived together upon only one breadwinner. So I wanted to work to bring home some extra money. And I also had my own child in 2003. So what happened was like I was knocking on every single doors in Stanway, that is my district now, but no one offered me any job. That time we didn't apply online. It would be like filling a paper and leaving it there for the manager to look and call. Got no calls. And final thing was like I went to a old battery factory in Long Island City. All jobs they did was like using sandpaper to rust up dust from the old batteries. Didn't need any education qualification, no language, nothing. But when I went there to look for a job, and then the manager looked at me and said, like, you came here for a job for yourself? I said, yes. Like, quote unquote, get out from here. It's not for you. And I felt so insulted, embarrassed, and dismissed that I went outside of the facilities and I started to cry on the street. And I cried, I went home, and my husband told me, like, how about you don't look for a job anymore? Because our situation will remain same if you don't work. Because we have been living with this on income. How about you go to college and to try to study? And that made me wanting to go to college. And when I applied, people get like overnight. When they apply, then within 3 months, they're a college student. In my case, it happened in 2003. I got only approval in 2007 to go to college.
Why was that?
Every time I would go and submit a paper, they would ask me for new papers and continued to do that for 3 years. And finally, I was so tired and I started to cry that I don't want to go to college. I'm going to do GED. And they said, you cannot do GED because your social security number is inside it. Every time you apply for GED, they're going to say, it's blocked, you go to college. And look at this, I'm in such a blocked situation that I cannot get out. And I started to cry in that time. There was a security guard who sent me to one of the evaluators that he knew. And the evaluators, her name was Mary Jobaida. I still remember her name. She looked at my paper and she said, like, who told you we didn't accept it? This is exactly, it's all right. And she saw me such a broken situation, so broken down. She took my personal phone number and she called me from her home in the evening, the same day, like, you're all set, you're gonna go to, but you cannot go to senior colleges that you put. Because of your grades and everything, you have to go to a community college and prove yourself. I'm like, anywhere, just let me begin. So I went to LaGuardia Community College and I had 2 semesters. And after that, I was offered scholarships from Columbia University and New York University. In fact, they came to the campus to recruit me.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
recruited first, then I applied for the admission. So what happened was like during that time, I also got involved. I got I was I got admission and then I became a student and I saw that the school had advertisement like around for student government. I even didn't know much about it. All I saw like, how about I explore this thing? And I saw $500 stipend. I'm like, yes, $500 stipend per month is a good thing.
It's a good,
A lot of money for
it's a
me.
good deal.
Yeah, for me. And I'm already a mother student. I had to leave my child in the childcare facilities at LaGuardia. That is paid by the students.
Okay.
So $500 is good price. It will balance there. I went and when I was running, I was thinking what issues. It's like completely out of nowhere, and there was different two slates were running, against each other, and I was independent because I didn't know anything about it. And when I was campaigning, they both started to like me, and then my platform, and then my approach, half and half won, and I was one of them out of nowhere. So after we won, and then they unanimously voted both slates voted me to become the vice president. This is how I became the vice president of this thing. And so we organized many events like tuition free CUNY and SUNY fires, and there were in our time there was one time tuition hike, and we were fighting against it, rallied, joint advocacy for our students. I also joined peer tutoring at LaGuardia. I love to teach whatever I learned. Like there are certain things that I could really master very well, and when I understood, I understood. And I'm also a storytelling type of person. So whether math, science, anything, I would put it in a storytelling frame that would work for the people like me who are more visual learner instead of like core hard math. So they would love it. So first I would teach my classmates to master those materials, and then I was enrolled in a paid peer tutoring program. So that class I would take first, and then I would teach that same class with another professor. Um, and then mentoring the Storia youth group. There were a lot going on in those days, like me being mother students, and then my own study, mentoring, peer tutoring, and then weekdays I would be volunteering with social service group.
Right.
So, with all those things, I didn't feel tired. I enjoyed. I'm like person like that, built for that.
Yeah.
This is how it's like my gradual entrance to
Right.
knowing the issues, real people struggles, and what our communities are facing, the injustice especially. I had classmates who would work full time, and then they would come to our class early in the morning. They would sleep on the couch, LaGuardia, and then from maybe 2 3 hours of sleep, and then they would straight go to classroom after that. And then from that class, they would be in their uniform, the nightly gown that they came from. And with that thing, after the class in the evening, they would just put that same gown and go to their work. Imagine the life.
Yeah, very hard.
They only need to do that because we put people choose education or earning. But we didn't need to. We could, if we had the tuition for education, that could bring a little ease to those people,
Right.
the productive members of our society. They don't
Exactly.
need to face that level of hardship. So we're fighting for tuition free SUNY CUNY. That is still, we are doing it. And one of my platform is still now on my
Yeah.
thing. So this is how I entered little by little, and then becoming a mom and being pregnant and going for the treatment in hospitals, facing what immigrants face in this country, the crisis in healthcare, and then the lack of language accessibility. In those days, I didn't speak good English.
Right.
I suffered because of that. So this thing shaped me and probably inspired me to uh, be more involved. But yet, I wasn't thinking about running for office in those days.
Right.
It's more about like being part of the social changes.
I also read that you volunteered for Bernie's campaign and also AOC's campaign. So I would love to know what got you interested in backing these politicians. What were the things that they were running for that really resonated with how you felt and how your experience was, and would also love to know a little about those experience in those campaigns, volunteering.
It's fun. I love to campaign, whether it's for myself or for someone that I truly believe in them. My first political engagement was in Bernie.
Okay.
It was with Obama for America.
Oh, okay.
And also 2007-8 time. Those were like really building block in my social movement engagement. So 2008, 2000 like early 2008, before the primary of Obama, when almost like 1-2% people believed that Obama could have made it, I was probably one of those people. Our Bengali community, Desi community, Immigrant community, they didn't believe that he was going to make it. But what inspired me to join the movement wasn't because of my belief or not belief, because I thought I always engaged in not in popular thing. I engaged in things that is needed,
Right.
that will make changes, that I felt for, that will be equalizer or equity based. So I found that in our country, such a beautiful, and that country that embraced me, an outsider, and made their own, and always felt heard, seen, and loved and cared. That country didn't have any black president as of that moment. So I felt like I always believed in inclusivity, and also sort of like pluralistic representation, always pluralistic representation. So a country as like over 2 century old didn't have even one black president. A country that had civil rights movements, like more than 60 years ago, didn't have any black president. So if we monitor our progress, we were not that advanced, even still now. So that made me feel like, whatever happened, I'm gonna fight for this guy. I'm gonna join this movement. So I signed up for volunteering, and with my daughter, she was I think 3-year-old, and easy, one child, go anywhere on a stroller or So I joined that movement, and thankfully more people joined, and absolutely he became the president of this country. My second involvement was Bill Thompson for mayor, another black person running for mayor. Didn't make it, was very close, because there's Bloomberg, that was to fight oligarch.
Yeah.
Because Bloomberg was billionaire, he served 2 terms, and then system has this term limits in city council seat, but he bypassed that because he enrolled as an independent or something. Like he crossed the party line to make a sneaky way to run again. And it didn't go well with me. Still, I believe that I wasn't still a citizen yet. No, I was not. But I did.
And that was which year?
2009.
2009.
But I already accepted this city is mine. So in my city, that cannot happen anymore. So I officially joined that campaign headquarters in Manhattan and worked with the team. A lot of people, even the black people, didn't believe he was going to make what he did. He was very marginal, like different. And Bloomberg spent $1 billion in that campaign.
Yeah.
A lot of people even said, a lot of media even said, like, should he really accept this position or give it to Bill Thompson? Because after spending $1 billion and that little.
The little margin, yeah.
And even Barack Obama did not endorse Bill Thompson. We are so frustrated with Barack Obama that we were so involved in this thing, and then we didn't see our president doing what we believe that should have done. He didn't go against Bloomberg. And we went to, I remember, like, even until the last vote counted, I was on the ground in Harlem. And black people said, like, honey, love, you think he's going to win? He's not. I said, he wins or not should not be defining who we should be voting for. We should be voting for the right cause and right person, or at least the better person.
Right.
So you do go vote for the better person, and go home with clarity in mind. Like,
Right.
okay, I did my part.
You did
Whoever
your
wins.
best.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did my part, and I contributed to the right cause.
Right.
That exactly what. And then 2013, I became part of, like, that year, Muslim Democratic Club of New York, MDCNY, was formed by some of our friends, and I became one of the first members.
And what was the name of the organization?
Muslim Democratic Club of New York, MDCNY. In 2013, it was formed, and we became politically involved, our club, for Bill de Blasio for mayor campaign. Initially, we supported John Lu, but he didn't make it that well, so we supported Bill de Blasio. For Bill de Blasio's, for that club, like that time I was mother of two, I believe. Like I had, or three? Oh, three. 2013, yep. And one in stroller, another in Snaggly. But I would still campaign and
Wow.
canvas, phone bank, text bank, and be involved. And I was awarded for building Muslim political power in New York City for 2013 mayoral election. So my engagement path started very long time ago, and it never stopped. There were ups and downs in life, but I carved my path and made sure I contributed within capacity. I lived moment by moment and contributed that way too. And then came the after that was like Bernie Sanders, and of course a man speaking about inclusivity and something that I have been always feeling, and I was a person who always look forward to seeing that, and minimizing the income inequality, creating a America that will serve everyone, not
Right.
just few, fighting for people that didn't look like you, and for a just cause and good cause. So those things were really tempting and definitely like appealed to us
Right.
and a person like me. So I volunteered for his campaign, and later on with AOC, I wasn't directly organizing force. It is more I worked with a organization in the Bronx. It was more like building connections, like helping the campaign to build connections to the key stakeholders and then communities and places of worships and within my groups that I knew. So it is more like even more meaningful way
Right.
contributing.
So you
And
were
sometimes-
building a bridge between their campaign and your affinity groups like
Yes,
Muslims, South
exactly.
Asians.
And then
Okay.
mosques, and
Right.
then my workplace that had over 1,000 employees, and there were the OC's constituents. So that kind of thing, I was more involved. I did join the ground canvassing, but more on the other side.
Yeah.
In pretty much every other candidate or campaign had some sort of my energy involved in Western New York, including Tiffany Caban and then other socialists running, including myself. Like Joran Momdani too. He ran in 2020. We are running from the neighboring districts, so I would help him too. I would canvass for him, connect him to the people that I knew because I worked in Astoria. I knew more people in Astoria, so
Right.
I would connect his campaign to the people that I knew in the
So
ground.
2020 was the first time you ran for office, right? So what was that point in
Why-
time when you decided, okay, maybe I should run too?
Yes.
I have volunteered, I have been involved in my community, I have supported candidates that I believe in,
Yes.
and now it's my time. In 2020, what was that point when you decided?
Interestingly, that was not inspired by volunteering or working for other candidates. It was more inspired by my lived experience and struggles in our community. I worked with under people who are not educated at all. Never had any issues with who is my leader. I worked with very highly educated people, very amazingly articulated leaders, and in the meantime also leaders who had very limited proficiency, very limited Bangla proficiency. Like they only spoke Bangladeshi dialects certain places. I never had any issues. As long as things are operating and going normal, I just cooperated and collaborated. Never had issues to replace someone. And we also got involved in too many things to replace one thing or like focus only one thing. My life is spent need based. Wherever things were needed, I jumped there. If there was someone to set there, set that person and move on. Never look back.
So it was not that planned that
It was in 2018, 2019 time when Amazon wanted to bring their headquarters in Long Island City. It was boiling though. It was cooking for a long time because of mostly the rezoning and overdevelopment in our neighborhoods. My second born didn't have any pre-K. She was ranked 51st on wait list. Imagine like we born here, was here,
Exactly.
and lived here since 2001, and now I don't have any school for my own child because it's overplanned, I mean, overdevelopment and lack of resources. And they didn't support enough schools, not enough classrooms for our children to go to. So already tired. 2018, we had transportation too crowded that I would not be even able to get on train until few train passed because it's too crowded and I would be barely making in the front. And no matter what, I'd be pushing people.
Especially it must be harder with children.
Extremely difficult, like to get
babies.
in a train to go to work in the France, and then not finding any room, and I needed to switch 2 trains, and missing 2 or 3 trains is a lot. Like,
It's a lot.
not your food. I had to drop my child first in high school, then take trains, and then transport to 2 different trains to make it to my work. And imagine, like, I cannot get on, and that 1 minute is like an entire day of wait and frustration and annoyance, you know. So I was already, those emotions were boiling. And then it found the peak moment when our representative, Kathy Nolan, who was in the office for 36 years,
36 years.
and previous 10 years, she didn't see any primary at all. She was detached from the community, did whatever she wanted to do, profit, helping the wealthy only, helping the developers only. They were collaborating with each other, but very detached from the community. No experience with the lived experience, what is going on in the community. She left the Long Island city gentrified, but not where she lived. She lived in Ridgewood. If you go to Ridgewood even now, you can see all one 2-story structure. And look at our Long Island city, what happened here. So our systems were overburdened, our transportations were overburdened, and we were tired, and we didn't know what to do. So that peak point, like the final trigger, was in 2019, when as a community we opposed Amazon, and as a representative, she invited Amazon to our community. She talked about like economic development and then other things that we didn't agree with. So we felt like this is time that we cannot have people, representatives, who in the name of representation do disservice to our people.
Right.
But there was no one to run against her. Mary Jobaida was not supposed to run. She's a Bangladeshi woman, very outlandish, a mother of 3. And I had my own kind of immigrant struggles. At the time, primary breadwinner. I was like already working mother, bringing home money to support my living here. I was not supposed to didn't have that luxury to run, but I had to put myself there because no one was running against her. And I came out like, okay, I am filing against her, and I filed and I declared my candidacy. And after that, another person ran. She destroyed my winning chance though. But the thing is, my service was always for the need. Where it is needed, I use my energy there. That made me run.
No, that's very inspiring, because this shows that you are not running for your sake, you are running for the community, because when the community needs you, this is where you are stepping up.
Community needed someone, not necessarily me. I'm a part of the community too.
Right,
When
right.
it rains, it falls on me too.
Exactly.
We all suffered, but we didn't have anyone to run. And I felt that person, because of the way my community accepted me, they made me feel that comfortable and confident that I dare to represent my community, or at least to declare. And in fact, by voting for me, they proved that actually they believed in that thing, and they showed the solidarity through their votes. It was pandemic time, and the last day of petitioning was also the last day, the first day of lockdown.
Oh wow. Okay.
So money on, we had less than $40,000 in our campaign, and my opponent, the representative, had $177,000, and also PAC's money in her support. What happened was, like, because of the lockdown, we had volunteers, but we are not able to do now.
Right.
We're not able to go do in-person canvassing. We had only limited some phone numbers that people left with Board of Election, that is activist. A lot of inactive phone numbers too. So only those limited numbers that we were able to reach out through phone banking, text banking. And from that group, over 5,000 people voted for us. And the elected officials had over 6,000 votes. So this close.
It's close.
And then a group of interest group ran a candidate against me, a progressive candidate, copy paste platform that I was running. She took about 2,000, I think 2,200 votes. Those could have sealed my win that year. But still, if there wouldn't be any pandemic, or if we had enough money to send mailers, so what made the difference? No matter how bad or good or how representative or not, her name was already in the community because she has been sitting here for 36 years. She had money to send mailers. Only in last election week alone, she said we received 8 mailers from her campaign and also from the PACs.
Right.
So her name was like every day open mailers. You see her face, you see her name. What do you hear about Mary Jobaida? If you don't have the phone number with the board of election, nothing. So people voted what they could recognize and the
Yeah, I can understand the constraints that the pandemic brought, and I think that made canvassing, phone banking very challenging with very limited resources, right? So I would love to know, like when you decided to run, what was the kind of support you received from the Bangladeshi community as a Bangladeshi American running for state assembly?
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a Muslim, you can see in hijab, and back home the politics is very divided. And that impacts here too.
Oh, okay.
Initially it did. Initially. When I started to run and group of people, for example, they rallied, they're like hijabi, Muslim, has to be, even Bangladesh, like has to be aligned with certain politics in Bangladesh. But thankfully, like as days go by, people found more solidarity, more common ground. And before the election, entire community got united.
Okay.
Not only like Bangladeshi Muslim, Bangladeshi Hindu, Bangladeshi Christians, they all came out to vote for me. We didn't have a lot of Bangladeshi vote back in District 37, but whoever we had, they came to vote. Election day, a lot of people didn't know that I was Mary Jobaida. I remember like one beautiful experience. I was in Sunnyside. So people thought like our Bangladeshi Hindu community, we have a very good Hindu community in Sunnyside. So they came out to vote, and on Dada, he thought, he didn't know that I was Mary Jobaida. He was like, দিদি ভোট দিতে আসছি ম্যারি জোবাইদাকে ভোট দিব বলে আমার পরিবারের সবাই ভোট দিয়ে গেছে আমি কাজ থেকে ছুটি নিয়ে আসছি আমি এই ভোট মিস করতে চাই না
That's so beautiful.
Imagine like in our there are moments that our communities feel like it's not united enough, and that very moment during the pandemic, a Christian Bangladeshi Christian dada like he called and he wanted to see me. He brought $100 donations and filled out forms and came to my home downstairs to give me that money. Because he felt so strongly, it's lockdown time. Nobody even gets out of home.
Right.
He wanted to make sure even the lockdown, the campaign has at least some money.
Right.
People cared for this campaign because there are moments that we all are individual. You and me, we are different too. And you came here for a purpose. My children and I are different. We all are unique and individual. But in the meantime, we also have a collective goals and collective struggle where we can find solidarity, we can see, we can resonate and relate to. So in our Bangladeshi community, I don't know whose experiences are. In my experiences, in real moment and with collective goals, our communities are together. And this time I find it even more.
Okay.
In 2020, it took longer, but this time it didn't. From the very first day, very first moment, our communities are united.
Can you tell us a little more about how supported you are feeling right now, or also some of the challenges that you're facing this time around compared to 2020?
You know, being first generation, who came to this country as an adult is different than who came as 7-year-old, 8-year-old, or baby with their parents who had elementary schooling here. That's a whole different story and experience. So immigrants people have their own kind of struggle, especially the first generation, parent generation. We are often like, no, there are moments that we are questioned more. We question things that nobody asked to any other candidates that they asked from all sides. Like being Mary Jobaida running being a socialist and running on socialist platform has its own kind of weight here, and then belonging to Bangladeshi conservative communities, running for the progressive causes, bring both sides, like my progressive Americans and my Bangladeshi or the Muslim or the conservative community, both questions same time. It's like arrows coming from both sides, you know?
Yeah, that was a follow-up question that I would have, because since you are running on a socialist platform with more progressive stances, so does that conflict with the two groups that you just mentioned, right?
So this year is easier, but in those days is harder. This is the first thing we open, like out of nowhere. Like if my daughter talking about something, I'm always scared about. Yeah? Like you know how Trump says, like socialist, not socialist, it's communist,
Right.
and communists are like, okay, they're out of community, they're not part of us, they're not religious. So this brings this question from both sides, like because traditionally Bangladeshi Muslim conservative communities are not open, did not open enough to very progressive and in conservative community controversial, quote unquote. This is how they view those issues, and so the progressive side also question like how progressive you are, you know, and then the conservative side like, oh, you ran for politics and now you became, you are talking about things that we are always scared about. We are not open, and we don't like it, you know. So I never support anything that I'm fully convinced about. I always believe in inclusive world, pluralistic representation, just representation, but that is aligned with the socialist causes.
Right.
Because no matter what justice you're bringing, no matter what population you're talking about, they belong here. They're part of us anyway.
Right.
You may not like a Christian person, but Christians are part of. A Christian may not like a Muslim belief or particular belief, but they're part of our community. We need to open. We need to have open dialogue. We don't need to. Me sitting next to you doesn't make me part of your quote unquote your family.
Right.
But we are neighbors. We're people who belong at this very moment this table. So that is recognition that I look forward to, like work with. Like you may not like certain belief, or that belief exists, and the believer is part of our community still.
Right. You can still respect them
Well,
and coexist.
So there is a way that we can still find common ground, respectful coexistence. But I put it this way: my children recognizing the existence of my neighbor or forming respect for my neighbors doesn't make them accepting the neighbor as their father, mother.
Right.
Another difference, like okay, this is my mom and dad. They are my neighbors or my classmates, dad and mom. But there is a way to build that respect.
Yeah.
Our community's fear, I found earlier in 2020, was more like you recognize them, so you're becoming part of them.
Exactly. I think that is beautifully said, and something that I know not just you, because you are running on a public platform. A lot of people who are especially Muslims are asked all the time that you are agreeing to people who don't necessarily share all the values that you stand for.
Right.
But just respecting them or accepting them does not mean that I'm being a part of them, right?
Not only that, there is a critical point.
Yeah.
The critical point of leadership, of representing entire community. We are not representing Bangladeshi community alone. When you are running for state assembly, this is a huge population where over 160,000 people live here. And not all of them are Bangladeshi, not all of them are Muslim,
Right.
not all of them speak Bangla,
Right.
or wear hijab like me. So we must recognize in each and everyone. And also there is like something that universal human rights.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that everyone has right to access of human rights. That, and also everyone has the path to promote to access to those, like they get promoted to access to those human rights human rights without compromising their identities or their beliefs or who they are.
Right.
So that is actually a very critical point where we struggle the most. But that recognition that human rights is equally should be um, equally accessed by everyone doesn't mean that I'm believing in your things.
Exactly.
I don't eat pork, but I should not be deciding pork should be in supermarket or not.
Exactly.
This is exactly the same way. So certain things we still have difficulties. Our communities had still difficulties to understand the differences between pork's existence in supermarket
Right.
and someone going there, a Muslim going there and being forced to buy.
I think that's a great example.
So that is about the lifestyle orientation and who we bring it to the table. So there were points that I was questioned just for visiting Hindu temple. I would go to a Hindu temple, and a group of people would be like, "Okay, why you went to the Hindu temple? There are deities, so you are not Muslim enough." And then Christian churches like, "Oh, you became Christian. Your name is Mary. Now you're going to Christian churches." But I found respect from them. Like when I went to the Hindu temple, for example, the Purohit, he would take me and made me sit next to the deities, like especially Durga. I know religiously, like there is a conflicting zone here. That is for him too. But he showed the grace and acceptance to his guest.
Right.
So he would place me next to the Durga. I'm not there to worship Durga in that
Right.
moment,
Right.
but I am there to show my support to my neighbors and my people who has their celebration there. So it's more learning each other's culture, so that even with our ignorance, we do not disrespect each other.
Exactly.
So
And I think it's the same way if a Hindu person, for example,
right.
comes to a mosque. There is, I don't think, any world where we would stop them from entering the mosque itself, right? We
So
will be welcoming to them.
Our goal should be to opening our culture for the understanding of our neighbors for each other, so that we can respect accordingly. If I didn't know, like for example, if you're Hindu and if I didn't know, I would probably bring a beef for both of us. And if I didn't know, if you're, for example, if you're Muslim and I'm not, I could have brought pork for both of us. So knowing each other is so much power and respect, and so that we can treat each other with dignity. And that was my point of view. Like, okay, we have to open up. We have to. That is the part of inclusion,
Right.
so that we can powerful and dignified way we can interact. But that was the struggle in 2020.
Right.
But now I think more people are aware, and thankfully, like we're able to open our communities. And now people don't say when I go to church, they say like, "Oh, thank you for going there." You know, even our Muslim people,
Yeah.
because they know that we're gonna represent everyone. And being Bangladeshi is a privilege on my side, and I'm grateful for that. I'm unapologetically and gratefully, I'm a Bengali, I'm a Muslim, but that's not necessarily a right to represent everyone. That's not a natural right, you know. So we have to make sure that we are very inclusive in our language and in our actions. So thankfully this year in 2025 is more open. Our Bangladeshi communities also are more accepting. Our progressive communities are also learning, like, okay, Bangladeshis are not more living in shadows. They are not closed door anymore. They're also open. They love interaction, open communication, and I'm grateful for being a little part of that progress.
That's wonderful and beautifully said again. And I think we will be rooting for you, inshallah, in anticipation of the election. And now let's create a hypothetical situation where, if you are elected, what kind of change would you like to bring, and in this community? So, what are the major platforms? You could just briefly tell us that you are running on, for our audience who have not been fortunate to learn about your campaign yet. If you could just briefly share major platforms that you're
As a
on.
person, easy and not in Broadway, like I was fighting for inclusivity. So I would create an inclusive New York my community. So everybody feels so comfortable to reach out instead of like being sad alone. Reach out for any help, and we will have a great constituent service. Like at least it's gonna be the first stop for anyone. If they cannot solve their problem, they'll find like, okay, I have a place. That's Mary's office. To create that kind of feeling in our
Right.
community, so that they feel like they have a place to go right away.
Exactly.
The first step. And in another way, like, this is Joran Mamdani's seat. I'm here, and he's moving to become a mayor. His promise is to create an affordable New York City, and his proposals are practical proposals. Affordability is the real issues and the crisis that our communities are facing here. So we need to focus on what is causing the affordability issues. So, for example, like, where does the money is most spent? Money is spent in extreme irrational housing. Money is spent in many different forms. Healthcare, food prices going very up. So Joran has some good proposals, like to create more deeply affordable housing, and then where we can also bring help to boost a little bit, like subsidizing the childcare, offering free childcare. Education is, if we make tuition free education, that will save some money. Offer childcare for the working parents to being able to go out and work and bring home money. Offering them, increasing the wage, like from current wage to the upper wage, that will also bring home more money. Making the transportation free. They don't need to buy metro card. They can just go to work for free. That will reduce the cost. So things like that will be helpful to creating that affordable housing that is actually possible. And a lot of people question, I know, like, it's practical and possible. With Joran Mamdani, I will collaborate with him. And it's not going to happen without a state and city and federal government collaboration.
Right.
Because some of those fundings are locked in state legislations.
Right.
For example, the child care, how we can afford child care. We have to tax the rich. And there are $6 billion will come from there. If we pass the universal health care, that will reduce the middleman and save over $16 billion that we can spend in a lot of those fields. So things like that will be very helpful. And then I look forward to working with Joran Mamdani and an ally in the state, and get those locked money bring to our neighborhoods and work together to create that new affordable New York for everyone.
That's fantastic. I know Mariappa is very busy, yet she made some time for us to share her story. So I wouldn't take much of your time, but I do have one last question, which is, I know in a lot of people's mind, but specifically in my mind, because I myself am a first generation immigrant, Bangladeshi immigrant who is interested in politics, who is interested in being involved in the community. So if you were to give a message for people like us, and also because you are a woman yourself, to first generation women, Bangladeshi women who want to lead and get more involved but are unsure where to start, what would be your message to them?
Always start now. Never plan for future. Because future never ends. Future has no ending, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow never ends. Future never ends. Always now. Now is the time. There's a saying like, justice delayed is justice denied.
Right.
So if you see that you want to feel involving, that is the moment. Whether your good time, bad time, every time has its own kind of a way of engagement. Especially women. Women are more close to issues here.
Right.
Because we are mother, we get pregnant, we are more dependent on healthcare than the men. Men usually don't go to see doctor. Women, we're bound to do when we're pregnant and other times. So we take our children to school, and many women in this country who are like or poor working class, they are the one who receive the SNAP money and other benefits. Usually comes in their name. They're the Medicaid and other signers.
Right.
So they usually somehow, interestingly, they know more about American policies than men do.
Wow.
And even in school, they know more about those things. So if you're a woman, and also men like you who want to get involved, today, this moment is the moment. Don't delay, don't wait. So how you can get engaged? if you think in future, like if you see yourself in more community engagement and also running for office, for example, engage in engage in neighborhood activities first.
Right.
If you are living in a district where you want to run, find a work within that community, more like with organizations that like serves the people, like housing organizations and service oriented organizations, non-profit organizations. Find a work with them, or elected offices, and you will know policies and all constituent service firsthand.
Right.
I worked with Justice Jessica Ramos. I worked with urban health plan that and involved in organizing with community boards, schools, places of worships, and other stakeholders, local businesses, CBOs. So things like that helps a lot. Like you know what is going on in the community, deep understanding on community.
Right.
Once you have the deep understanding, you also know where are the problems, where are the solutions. If you make a goal, you know how to get it there. When you knew that you were gonna come to this cafe, that is the first goal, right?
Right.
Then came like which route is the fastest and what
Exactly.
will cost the less money. Those can come later, but go set the goal first,
Right.
and then join community boards, attend meetings, all the local meetings.
Town halls, right?
All the local meetings, bond with your neighbors. Your neighbors are your family, political family. The first people who support always where the politics begins, your home. And your home doesn't mean only husband, wife, or father, mother, sibling. It's actually the close circle. Grow your community. Please grow your community. Make it as multiracial as possible.
Right.
Find where is the common ground you can go. If you're Muslim, for example, if you don't go to the bar, find another socializing place where you can meet with them. Talk about policy. Involve in clubs.
Right.
There are many different political clubs. Get involved and become part of it. Those will be probably the beginning thing. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. Especially political campaign. When you volunteer for political campaign, don't only volunteer on the surface. Don't only do door knocking and phone banking. Those are the last thing and only on the ground. Core team, join the core team. Learn how the political, how the campaign is planned,
Right.
how it gets executed, what are the strategies involved, what are the tactics on the moment,
Right.
and what a political candidate goes through. Is there like a lot of emotional and other ups and downs going on? So you're going to be experiencing those things firsthand,
Right.
and you're going to be ready either to run for yourself or to run another candidate.
I think those are some really great specific advice and suggestions that you mentioned. And I also completely agree that if you don't get involved in the community, you don't know how people are feeling at the grassroots level. It is very difficult to feel what they are feeling, to understand their problems, because when you really understand the problem, then only you can come up with a solution
Yes.
or fight for a solution for
Right.
them, right? And that cannot be only done by seeing it from a screen or from reading a newspaper.
Solutions
right?
always may not even come right away.
Yeah, exactly.
At least to recognize that there is a problem here.
Exactly. So, and just going back to what your ultimate advice was, start now. And
Start now, start now, start now. There is no tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. It's always tomorrow. So it's today and right now.
And with that note, I would love to end this conversation. Thank you once again, Appa.
Thank you, Steve.
This was an honor speaking with you, learning so much about the community, about your story and what you are fighting for. We wish you all the best. May the best person to represent this community end up getting elected. And may we all fight for the agenda of making this city, this state affordable for all of us. And may I get the chance to move to Astoria, maybe inshallah
Yes.
next year.
This year, this year to vote in 2026.
Inshallah. Let's see. And before we close this conversation, shout out to this wonderful cafe who
Yes.
allowed us to occupy this space.
First Cup Cafe.
First Cup Cafe, Bangladeshi woman-owned cafe here in Astoria. They have been a wonderful host, allowing us to sit here, have this conversation without being bothered. So really appreciate them. Big shout out to them. If you're in Astoria, check this out. You can grab a laptop, work here, have great food. Thank you everyone for listening in. I hope this conversation was helpful. Do give a follow. Also follow Mary Jobaida Apa. I will leave her socials links in the comment section, so watch out for that. And একজনে আলমারিতে গেলে a lot more will follow inshallah.
বাংলা ভাষা
বাংলা ভাষা।
তারপরে আমরা বাংলা বলবো শুধু, আমি সবাই তাকায় থাকবে।
ঠিক আছে, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
Thank you,
দিস
Steve.
ওয়াজ
Thank you so
ভেরি
much.
ভেরি নাইস। মানে আমার খুব ভালো লাগছে আপনার সাথে কথা বলে। ইটস ভেরি ইন্সপায়ারিং।